It has been over 3 years since I've seen all of you in live in person here. So it's really a very powerful moment. Good thing the topic's on power. Let's just take a moment to acknowledge that we sit and stand here on the land of the Shinnecock Indian Nation. My talk today is the paradox of power. Charles Fillmore, a Unity Church leader, held that that the body had 12 powers: faith, wisdom, enthusiasm, imagination, understanding, love, order, life, strength, release, will, and power. Power is self-mastery and spiritual presence. Deepak Chopra said, "Spirit's path to power involves surrender, humility, forgiveness, and acceptance." Well, these are the real superpowers, not exactly the qualities that we associate with powerful people. Power is so often defined by negative qualities: the power over people, the power over places or things, and that aggressive power is usually linked to possession of resources won by coercion. And even though hard power is a direct and time-effective method, it has an emotionally and spiritually costly practice. And hard power's accomplished goals are not long-lasting. Paradoxes are ironies and incongruities that attempt to reconcile what seems like opposing ideas. And these allow us to consider and reconsider what is important in our lives and their meanings. Once I have found the power hidden in the belief incongruities, they are mine to keep. The paradox of power holds that spiritual strength comes from an internal softness, not a show of hard will. And that leads to lasting, meaningful achievements, this internal softness. And that is one's powerful strength. We realize our spiritual power through the proper use of our will and earned effort. So, a paradox biggie is surrender brings empowerment. This is the essence of the power of paradox of power. It seems counterintuitive, yes, but power comes from my letting go, not from holding on. And I've heard it said, when you get to the end of your rope, let go. Let God. And so the ability to live one's power is through one's strength of will. And that is the higher power's will. So let me be clear. It actually takes an act of will to let go of something, especially letting go of my own will's direction. I mean, I just don't throw my hands up in the air and say, well, God will do it for me, and then that's the end of it. Here is where directed, intentional, wise use of power lies. My higher powered determination is letting go. And when I do the opposite of my natural, albeit regressive inclination, I am using affirmative power. Doing the opposite of that inclination, or the George Costanza way, is the paradoxical way. Here are some examples of paradoxes. I know that I know nothing. This is the paradox of wisdom learned. Wisdom empowers our soul's ability to handle life's challenges. Wisdom provides guidance, direction, discernment, flexibility, and contentment, all valuable, powerful characteristics. Wisdom teaches us to work smarter, not harder. Wisdom learned and earned belongs to me. Another, deep down, I'm really shallow. Paradoxically, the deeper I go, the more complex I am, and yet the simpler, more streamlined my spiritual life becomes. Similarly, there's the learning paradox. The more I learn, the more I realize how little I know. In my youth, what pervaded much of my behavior and thought is called unconscious incompetence. I don't know what I don't know. Eventually and hopefully, I have progressed into conscious incompetence. I know what I don't know. And this paradox keeps me in a healthy curiosity and therefore more questions. And asking the right questions is much more powerful than having the right answers, don't you think? And then there's the happiness paradox. And that's the pursuit of happiness makes me unhappy. Happiness comes from an appreciation for the present and the gratitude for what I have. And that's the key to finding happiness, to stop looking for it. Mark Twain said about the fear paradox, do the thing you fear most, and the death of fear is certain. Now, why would I want to do the very thing that I fear most? Because when I use my determination rather than abdication of something fearful, I overcome the thing that makes me free of fear. And that is a profound practice. And how about the death paradox? Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, you could leave life right now and let that determine what you do and say and think. And there it is, the truthful paradox of how fleeting life can be, but that can fuel how I act and speak and my outlook on life today, now, this moment. And after all, the goal of life is not just to feel better, it's to actually be better. How about the scarcity paradox? The less something is available, the more you want it, and the more valuable it becomes. I think toilet tissue hoarding. But none of us here at New Thought worry about that because we live in a spiritual law of abundance. But the perceived value matters more than the intrinsic value. The perceived value is an illusion. An illusion puts us in a tailspin. When we believe the illusion, overlook the value of something, when it's not available, we want it more. But I muse over compassion. There seems to be less compassion in the world, and by its scarcity, one would think we'd want it more. But here's the rub. The intrinsic value is widely absent in the minds of people. I mean, we seem to live in a time when externals are more important than our internals. Image, optics are more important than our inner spiritual landscape. And those of us who garden know to beautify a landscape, it takes time and it takes work. Right, Nick? For those of you who don't know, he has the most magnificent garden. Redirecting my energy can be laborious, which brings us to the effort paradox. It takes a huge amount of, or in Queens, as we say, huge amount of effort to make something appear effortless. Take a ballet dancer, for example. Think about the many hours spent in repetitive rehearsal for us to see a performance that looks effortless. All the best performers make something look effortless. Exertion is involved in writing and speaking with clarity and precision and purpose. Take this talk, for example. I spent weeks writing a 20-minute talk. I just hope that my delivery seems effortless. The point is, paradoxically, anything that seems effortless takes a lot of work. And that is why our practices are so important. But what about soft powers? How do I access them? Let me count the ways. Number 1, meditation, a seemingly elusive path. It helps us to connect with the spiritual self. And there are many ways we can do it, but meditation is a major link to the numinous, the divine, and being in the flow. Number 2, feeling my feelings. Denial is a potent experience. It may feel powerful to ignore or run away from grief, sadness, or even joy for some of us. The opposite is the power of feeling my feelings. Being present to my feelings, the reality of what is, enables me to be there for others and the power of God in my life. The power of spirituality is in my humanity. That means accessing all that makes me vulnerable and human. Pain, disappointment, and yes, love. And that's the power of acknowledging and feeling my feelings. 3, this links us to Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. Ultimately, being at peace with the present moment is what it's all about. What uses it, living in the past or the future, and focusing on what cannot change? Be here now, Ram Dass's proclamation on how to live powerfully, is in living in the immediacy of being alive. So the 4th one is to replenish with nature. That's my spiritual generator, my metaphysical battery, my power tool. Just the observation of a single blade of grass, a blossom, a bird, a breeze. All of these give me pause to consider its life, its presence, how it came to be, and how I am affected by that. And a step further, grounding. Feeling my feet on the ground, and I mean really feeling my feet and the earth's energy coming up through my feet into my legs, into my body. This is a practice that brings me into the present like nothing else. And the next way I can connect to my soft power is number 6, gratitude. Grateful to be alive, to be who I am, to be where I am, to be with whom I am with, to be. And I start my morning with a powerful gratitude practice while I'm brushing my teeth or making coffee, taking a shower, or putting on clean clothes. Some people prefer to do a gratitude list at the end of the day, but it's also a dynamic practice to find gratitude during the course of the day. Number 7, service. Making a contribution to others potentiates my purpose. Being a part of the higher good gives me a sense of agency and increases my self-esteem. What's more powerful than that? Number 8, living graciously through goodwill. Seeing the good in others, appreciating them, and complimenting them and their qualities. Implement this practice. It's amazing. Focus on appreciation. That makes me feel lighter and more optimistic, and that's a mighty outcome. Number 9, become body aware. Cultivate listening to your body. Ask your body what it needs. Our bodies are incredible vessels. Honoring yours is one of the most spiritual acts you can do. Fuel it with healthy food, clean, fresh water, exercise, particularly stretching and balance. Give it rest, give it sleep. These are major ways of being present to ourselves. And number 10, connect with your community, sharing with like-minded spiritual folks. And thank God for our New Thought community. And in conclusion, let me mention the brevity paradox. Again, Mark Twain writes, I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead. In seminary, I learned, true, right? In seminary, I learned Blessed are the brief. Talk less, say more. We all know what it's like to hear somebody drone on and say nothing or say the same thing over and over. But getting to the point takes effort. What's the point? Say what you mean what you say. The paradox of power holds that spiritual strength comes from the internal softness that takes effort. Practice your practices. Put in the repetitions. Develop your soft powers of faith, wisdom, enthusiasm, imagination, understanding, love, order, life, strength, release, will, and power. Focus on the affirming power of spirit and your union with it. Embrace true human selfhood, which is divine. Divine thought is a force for good. Right thinking has a healing effect. When our beliefs are infused with infinite intelligence, union with God is the totality of real power. And our power in co-creation contributes to outcomes. That is how and why we use the power of mind constructively. Power is in surrendering and aligning with the power of love and compassion and peace in the here and now. Seek spirit. Explore your spiritual core. Release any hindering excess. Be the person you mean to be. Your spiritual endowment is empowerment. Find and explore the hidden depth of your paradox of power. And so it is.